What's up, Packer fans? Back again. So, we have a big game coming up on Sunday. It is at home at Lambeau against an AFC team, which the Packers have had success against in the past. But this has to be the beginning of a little streak the Packers go on. They have to beat the Jets this week. They have to beat the Commanders after that. They have to beat Detroit after that. And then they have at the Bills. That's going to be a tough game there. And then the Cowboys come to Lambeau on November 13th after our little road stretch we go on for those 3 games. It's going to be pivotal. We get a little hot now and not falter. If we lose to the Jets and, struggle against the Commanders in the line, we could really be in a tough spot before we get to come home against the Cowboys. And that's not an easy game based on how the Cowboys have been playing lately as well. So bright spots, though, are the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, have won 18 of the last 19 starts against AFC teams, including 11 in a row, which includes the win against the Patriots in overtime 2 weeks ago. The Packers have also won 15 in a row at Lambeau. That's huge. That's the longest going streak in the league, which for the Packers, coming back home after a tough road game. It was a home game, but it was in London, so obviously the farthest they've had to travel all season, the farthest they're probably going to travel all year, and just really tough for the guys. Obviously they want to have fun, but it's also a work trip, and it's just tough to stay focused. Packers struggled. They ended up losing the game, scored only 2 points in the second half, but the surprise of this weekend is the Jets. The Jets are 3-2. They're coming off a 40-point victory over the Dolphins, where they won 40-17. But scoring 40 points is huge for a team that's struggled in the past, been shut out a lot in the recent years. But they're for the first time since 2018 against Detroit, the home opener, they're over 500, which is crazy if you think about it. That's the longest streak in the league, and they also have the longest playoff drought streak in the league of 11 years. The Jets are excited. They winning some games. They got Zach Wilson back. They've showed the ability to rally on the road. They erased a 13-point deficit again with 82 seconds left. So, a minute and 22 seconds against the Browns. They were down early and ended up winning 31-30, erasing a 13-point deficit in a very little time. Huge win for them. And they also won 24-20 at Pittsburgh after trailing 20-10 in the fourth quarter. This Jets team has won some games that have surprised some people. And, they're coming in hot after a big win. And obviously they have some talent. They've got really good players on the outside at receiver, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Garrett Wilson. And then obviously Breece Hall and Michael Carter in the backfield. And then Uzama at tight end with Tyler Conklin. They have some weapons. And then Zach Wilson slinging the ball around. He's a guy that's got some swagger, that, a little bit of Brett Favre in him. He's going to throw the defense some balls. They just have to intercept it. Hopefully the Packers can get the turnover bunches going here. There's only been one pick on the season, and it's just been a struggle. So I was watching some of the Jets talk about this Packer game. They said the best form of cheese is on New York pizza. That was kind of funny. But Matt LaFleur, he hates this week. His brother is the offensive coordinator for the Jets, Mike LaFleur. He's the younger brother of Matt. But, they know each other well, obviously, on and off the field. And last year with Coach Saleh, the Jets head coach, Matt LaFleur and him had a scrimmage for 3 days in a row. So these teams do know each other. Obviously, there's a lot of new pieces. They didn't have Breece Hall last year. They didn't have Jermaine Johnson last year. They didn't have Garrett Wilson last year. So those are guys that are really, big players and big playmakers for this Jets team. But so after the week 1 loss to the Vikings, Packers lost 23-7. They came back and beat the Bears the following week. That was a huge win for the Packers, obviously, to bounce back after a really hard week 1 loss. But since 2019, since Matt LaFleur has taken over as head coach, the Packers were 3-0-19 after losses. Rodgers had 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. In 2020, Rodgers and LaFleur were 3-0 again with 12 touchdowns and 0 picks. He threw 4 touchdowns in each game after a loss. That's crazy. And then in 21 last year, 3-0 again, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick, and then 1-0 this year with 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. For Rodgers, that's, in LaFleur, that's 10-0 after a loss with, well, I think it's 9-0 because that last loss to Detroit that was week 18. But anyway, so 24 touchdowns with 1 pick, which is insane numbers if you think about it after a loss. Obviously, that's 2.4 touchdowns per game for Rodgers. He had some where he had no touchdowns, and then that stretch in 2019 or 2020, like I said, where he had 4 touchdowns each game, 12 touchdowns total. Really impressive, obviously. That we know Rodgers is great, but he hasn't been playing like it this year yet. I don't think he even has 10 touchdowns on the season this year, and he doesn't have over 2 touchdowns in a game. I think he had 2 again last week, and he had 2 in the Bears game as well, like I said. So not the numbers we expect from Rodgers, but hopefully we get going here. Obviously, the injuries on the offensive line early in the season, and then the receivers being young, and Watson hurt and Watkins hurt and Lazard hurt, so I think it's just taking some time, but hopefully they can put it all together. Packers defense, though, has gotten a lot of scrutiny this week. The secondary, Joe Barry, giving up 14 points in the fourth quarter, giving up 5 straight scoring drives to the Giants last week. All these different things. And now with Zach Wilson coming into Lambeau, he's been playing well. He only played 1 game, but in that game, on passes where he had perfect protection and no pressure, he was 10 yards an attempt and 40 on 44 dropbacks, which that's pretty crazy. That's a lot of yards. And so, but when he's getting blitzed, it drops down to 2.9 yards per carry or per attempt. So we really have to get pressure on Zach Wilson. It's going to be pivotal that they get after him up front, but it really starts with the back end, with the secondary. Joe Barry has been kind of scheming our guys out of position, playing the zone, really has them, playing off about 10 yards away from their guy that they're covering, which allows a lot of real quick hitters, a lot of quick, slants or hitches or ins and outs. It's just too much ground to make up if the receiver's running a short route. So it's usually a completion. They make the tackle, which is why we have 2 corners that are in top 5 in tackles on this team. Shouldn't be like that. It should be linebackers and safeties, really. Obviously, the middle linebackers with the most, but we shouldn't have the corners tackling that much. On throws of 13 yards or more for Eric Stokes, it's been 14 out of 16 completions with 0 pass breakups. That can't happen. Stokes and Douglas have no interceptions, either to Amos or Savage. Jair's the only one with an interception, and that's 1 for the team in 5 games. That absolutely cannot happen. It's just, we need more pressure up front, but if the quarterback can get rid of the ball so quickly and it's a completion, there's nothing the guys, like Rashawn Gary or Preston Smith, there's nothing they can do. And on the back end, if they're playing off, there's nothing they can do to even get close to a breakup. Daniel Jones threw for 77% against the Packers, made him look like Tom Brady, in the Super Bowl. He's not that good. He should be more at 60%. That's what goes. That's why they don't think he's very good, because he's not very accurate. And then he comes out and he looks like a Pro Bowl player. It's just they have to fix the scheme. You don't pay Jair $20 million to have him play off coverage about 10 yards, off his guy. You pay him $20 million to get in the guy's face, jam him at the line, and shadow him everywhere he goes. I just don't get it. They did this, or Joe Barry did this with Jalen Ramsey when he was on the Rams, coaching the Rams. Ramsey once shadowed the best receiver. He would just stay on one side. He'd be out of position. His numbers were down. The year he leaves, the year Joe Barry leaves, the Rams win the Super Bowl. So hopefully LaFleur's telling Barry, we have the guys to play man-to-man. We have to lock them up. If you don't have the guys to play it, that's why you play zone, so you don't get beat by a team that's better than you. When you're better than them, you man them up and you get in their face and you make them work. Otherwise, it's just quick, easy catches and, without much interference from the defense, making plays or intercepting passes or breaking passes up. We haven't had any of that this year. So hopefully things get turned around. Like I said, just, one pick on the season, that cannot happen. So the biggest thing, though, for the Packers is going to be sustaining drives on offense, giving the defense rest. That 16-play, 8-minute drive for the Giants last week totally, exhausted the defense. The offense came out, went 3 and out, and then the defense was right back on the field. Then the Giants went 6 plays, 60 yards, and scored. So they went from being down 7 to up 7, and the Packers had 1 3 and out in between that. The defense was just exhausted. But the Packers need to start running the ball more. They need to just block up an 8-man front when the defense is, playing the run. Just block it up and run into it. You just have to keep doing it. And hopefully use the play action, create a vertical passing game, get the ball down the field. They really need to start stretching the field, throwing the ball. It's just Rodgers hasn't even been close to 300 yards in a game. And, some of these receivers have had big games. Lazard had 116 yards, and Dobbs had 73 one game, and Cobb had 99 last week. But still, we need more consistency on the outside. We need some big plays. We just need somebody to make a play. And I don't think Rodgers has really given the guys a lot of chances to do that. And I don't know if the play calling has allowed him to do that, but they need to get on the same page and start doing something. I mean, they have 8-man in the box. Every team is setting up their defense to stop Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon and force the Packers to throw the ball. And until the Packers can show them that they can throw the ball, the defenses are going to just keep doing that, and that's going to be an issue. The Jets, they have 9 giveaways, but in 9 takeaways in the first 5 games, 7th most giveaways and 5th most takeaways. So they're a team that will turn the ball over, but does also force turnovers. Packers have not been able to do that this year. It says they turned the ball over 6 times in their 2 losses. That's, something the Packers are going to need to get on. Like I said, Zach Wilson will throw you some passes that, are like Brett Favre, where he's throwing the defense an interception. It's just up to them to make the play. There's going to be some of those. I mean, hopefully the defense switches up a little bit and they press the guys a little bit more and they're able to be in position to make plays. But otherwise, Zach Wilson is a guy that if he's got time and he's got open guys, he'll make the throws. He will. He's just better than Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones did it great last week. So it's going to be up to this Packers defense to really shake up this offense for the Jets, who's flying high. Breece Hall flying high after last week. Garrett Wilson's flying high as a rookie. This team has a lot of confidence, and they want to come in here and punch the Packers in the mouth and get this win. They want to be 4-2 just like the Packers do, but the Jets are the surprise team in the AFC. If the playoffs ended today, the Packers would be the 7th seed and the Jets would be the 7th seed. Well, in the AFC, and the Packers would be the NFC, obviously, but both would be 7th seed. If they lose on Sunday, they both drop out of that playoff picture, or whatever team, So if the Packers lose, now it's a different team is the 7th seed. If the Jets lose, a different team is the 7th seed. So this is a big game. I mean, I know it's early to talk about playoffs, but if your team is in the playoffs right now, as long as you don't lose, you're basically still in that spot. So big week this week for both teams. And Matt LaFleur's team has not won the turnover battle once this season. If we do get a turnover in a game, normally we give them a turnover as well, but we haven't been forcing a whole lot of them, and that is a big issue. The Jets also have probably the deepest pass rushing team in the league, and one of the deepest in the league, and definitely the deepest the Packers have faced so far this season. 4 out of the 10 guys that Robert Saleh has on his defense through 5 games have pressures. So they're getting after the quarterback, and Carl Lawson, interior lineman Quinnen Williams, he's a beast. He's excited about this defense. He came in here when the Jets were really bad, and now he's starting to win some games. He's starting to see some of these players flying around. John Franklin Myers is really good off the edge. Jacob Martin, Bryce Huff, quality edge rushers. And then you have Sheldon Rankins on the inside who can win one-on-one. So it's going to be imperative that Royce Newman plays the best game of his career. If he struggles early, hopefully they bring Zach Tom in. But this offensive line is going to have its work cut out for them for sure. And they didn't even mention the rookie Jermaine Johnson, who is explosive off the edge. He's still young and raw, but he's got the talent. If he has a pass rushing situation, he can come in and make plays. The Packers' biggest, the thing they have to do the best this weekend is just run the ball. That's they kind of got away from it last week. Only ran the ball 19 times. They need to be at about 30 a game, 35 a game is what I kind of predicted. At least touches for Jones and Dillon. Obviously, with teams getting stuff in the box and having an 8-man front, it's hard to run into that every time. Rodgers said on that 4th and 2 play, they had a 0 coverage, which normally you throw it into that because it's man-to-man on the outside. So you throw into that. But what it looked like is, A.J. Dillon had a nice lane between the center and the right guard right up the middle for at least the first down, if not a touchdown. Josh Myers pushed his guy into the end zone. So Packers need to get back to the running game. That's going to be the catalyst they get back to and use to, spring them to the victory. 19 rushes a game last week, especially when they were leading or tied all the way until 6 minutes into the 4th. Rodgers should not be throwing it 39 times in that game. You take away about 10 of those throws and you add 10 rushes. Now you're at 29, and now you probably score a touchdown on that last drive, and you probably don't go 3 and out in the middle of the 4th quarter there. So, things that the Packers need to go back and reflect on, but they have to get back to what worked. Get back to what beat the Bears. Go back to what beat the Patriots. The Buccaneers game, they didn't run so well, but they still were able to run it enough. And so get back to that. Refine your identity. Rebuild your identity. Rodgers isn't going to be able to zing it all over the yard to these young guys just yet. They're not going to break down the plays like, Devontae did or Jordy used to do, when Rodgers is scrambling around. He's not going to have the same success just yet with these young guys. They need to scheme them open. They need to have, set plays and set routes and have it really simple and just use the running game to kind of, suck in the defense and then go over the top. So it's a really simple concept. They just have to execute, and hopefully this weekend the Packers can get back to it. I mentioned Breece Hall, but he's going to be the guy in this game that the Packers need to watch out for the most. He's a rookie. He had 197 yards last week on the total. 6 rushes of at least 15 yards and 17 total catches this season for Breece Hall. For a rookie, those are huge numbers. The Packers just need to do a better job of stopping explosive plays. He's basically like their Saquon Barkley. I know he's a rookie, but he's already proved that he can do that. If you saw the 79-yard screen play he ran, or the wheel route he ran last week, he almost scored. He got tackled at the 1-yard line. This guy is the real deal, and it's going to be up to the Packers to tackle well. Rich Bisaccia was saying that he didn't even care about Amari Rodgers' fumble on the punt. He was more upset about the tackling. I don't understand that. I mean, the tackling is an issue. They need to fix that. But, possession of the ball is probably more important than the tackle. But what do I know, right? So, but Breece Hall, we have to, make sure we cover him out of the backfield and tackle him in the running game. I really think this Packers defense is going to have a whole new level of focus. When you win games but you struggle in areas, it's much harder to fix those because you kind of have it in the back of your mind like, well, we still won. But now when you lose and they say to fix areas, now you don't have anything to fall back on or an excuse you can use like, oh, we won. So I think it's going to be a big learning lesson. Last week will be, having the lead, clearly being better than the Giants on paper based on all the injuries the Giants had and all those things, and just being, having the better quarterback for sure, quarterback league. Every best quarterback in a division last year won that division for their team. So, I mean, it is definitely a quarterback-driven league. And so Aaron Rodgers should outduel Daniel Jones. But the fact that he didn't is a team loss, of course. But Packers need to get back to what works, get back to what has been working, and hopefully they can come away this week with a W. That would put them to 4-2. Then, like I said, they go to Washington Commanders next week. They beat the Bears, but they didn't look good at all. That's a very winnable game for the Packers. And then, like I said, the Lions and Buffalo. So Lions have been up and down, highest scoring team, and then get shut out. And obviously Buffalo is going to be a really tough matchup in Buffalo. So Packers need to get these easy wins. I'm not saying the Jets are easy, but they need to get these wins that, the Packers should be able to handle these teams. They should win the games, or they should be able to get past the Jets. They should have won last week, but is what it is. Come off a tough loss. Like I said, Rodgers, 24 touchdowns, 1 pick in 9 games after a loss with LaFleur. Those are crazy numbers, and I think the Packers will keep that going. They'll push it to 10. If Rodgers can come out and have a 4-touchdown game, that would be crazy. After some of the other losses, there was a loss, I think it was in 2019 where we lost, and then we went to Dallas, and Aaron Jones rushed for 4 touchdowns. So 4 touchdowns kind of seems to be the theme when it comes to bouncing back after a loss for the Packers. Hopefully that is what happens this week against the Jets. I'm super excited. Hope you guys are excited. Go Packers, go Packers, go Packers. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Check out other videos, and I will see you guys next time. Go Pack, go, and peace out.